Okay, so maybe we'll first start with some prayers. If you could all kindly fold your hands. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutle Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Vashrita Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shri Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. Okay, so today's going to be a little bit of a lighter session than maybe what we're used to. So as you all know, Dhruvanath is now leading the mentorship system, or as I like to call it, the mental ship, because it's like a ship full of mental people. And just like the WhatsApp groups, I really don't want to get purged by Dhruvanath. So when he asked me to do this talk and say a few words about His Grace Srutidharma Prabhu, I happily and slightly nervously agreed. But what I thought we could do this evening is simply, I'm going to just share some personal stories and memories that I had with Srutidharma Prabhu. And from these experiences, there were certain realizations or lessons that really stayed with me over the years. So I'd like to share those stories and reflect a little on the lessons behind them. And then towards the end, we'll do a small interactive exercise together, and then followed by a short video and a little meditation on Srutidharma Prabhu. So I hope that's okay. And so I'm going to start my story all the way back in the 1990s, probably before some of you are even born. Next slide. So some of you may know that Srutidharma Prabhu and Pranabandhu Prabhu were very active in preaching back in those days. And they were distributing books and meeting people and building what eventually became the congregation at the manor today. And back then, they would go door to door to local businesses in Harrow and the surrounding areas. And one day they came to our family shop, where I used to spend my summer holidays. Now, my parents, they weren't devotees at the time. In fact, most of the time, when devotees would come knocking on the door at the shop, they would politely and sometimes not so politely turn them away. But on this particular occasion, my parents let them in, and Srutidharma Prabhu said to Pranabandhu, "Give Yuvi a book." And that book was the secret teachings of the Vedas, this one. And that moment really started my journey in Krishna consciousness. And it changed the direction of my life and my parents' lives. Now, one thing I realized later is how easy it is for us to take things for granted today, especially. We come to the manor, we attend so many programs, we have huge festivals and thousands of devotees. But it's important to remember that this all didn't just appear overnight. The devotees of that generation particularly were incredibly persistent in their preaching. They were preaching every day, and they were practicing sincerely, and they were doing all of this with far fewer facilities and resources than we have today. And despite this austerity and how difficult it was those days, they were still out there building the community that we all now benefit from. When times are good, it's easy to practice Krishna consciousness. But a real test is, how do we practice when times are really difficult? And when I look at Srutidharma Prabhu and many of the devotees of that generation, I see that, like, whether times were good or bad, they were always pushing themselves 100%, not only to practice Krishna consciousness, but to give Krishna consciousness. Okay, so as my interest in Krishna consciousness grew, there was a small problem. My parents weren't becoming devotees as quickly as I wanted them to. And the reason I wanted them to become devotees was actually quite practical. I was 16 at the time, and I wasn't driving yet. Well, not legally anyways. So I needed transport to the temple. So in my mind, I was thinking, the solution's simple. My parents need to become devotees. So every Sunday, I would go to the patron's office where Srutidharma Prabhu and Pranabandhu Prabhu would often sit. And I'd tell them, listen guys, you really need to cultivate my parents. And lo and behold, they did. Every Sunday, they would sit with my parents for nearly an hour, talking with them, answering their questions, connecting with them. And they did this simply because I asked them to. And I always wondered over the years that how could such senior devotees listen to just someone like me? But because they gave that time and attention, my parents slowly connected with the process and became devotees. And this taught me something, that if we want to change someone's heart, it takes time, energy, and care. And Srutidharma Prabhu really dedicated his life to giving genuine care to people. You know, sometimes in service, we can get caught up in the metrics of everything. How many people, how many hours, how many programs. But you know, ultimately, the real question is, how many hearts did we actually touch? How many people have we genuinely connected with in a way that ignites their Krishna consciousness? And that was Srutidharma Prabhu's speciality. That within a few short interactions, you were ready to give up everything for the service of Krishna. Okay, another story that really stayed with me happened on a patron's trip to India. So I realized that I probably wasn't going to finish my pharmacy degree, and I really didn't see the need for a degree to deal drugs, given that I'd done a good enough job up until this point without a degree. So anyway, during the February half term, I thought, well, if I'm not studying, I might as well go on holiday. So I joined the patron's trip from the manor. And one day, Bharti, who some of you might know from the Sunday night Kirtan team, we were heading towards a shopping area in Mayapur. And as I was leaving my room, I was staying with Gauri and Prana, a barber had come to give them a haircut and a shave and a massage. You know, they call this guy over. It's like first class spa treatment for India anyway. And then Bharti and I jumped in the rickshaw and we started heading towards the shops. As we were passing through the streets, in the corner of my eye, I noticed something. There was Srutidharma Prabhu sitting at one of these street side barber stalls, just casually there. He was just in his vest and getting a haircut from the roadside barber. So I asked the rickshaw driver to stop, and I went up to Shruti Prabhu and I said, Shruti Prabhu, you know, Gauri and Prana are getting a really first class haircut and massage in the room. You should just join them. And then he simply replied, no. I don't want any of that fancy stuff. I just enjoy being here with the people. And this showed me that, you know, real joy comes with connection with others. Not from any material comforts or material luxuries, but actually genuinely connecting with people, especially on the deepest level of Krishna consciousness. And it also revealed to me his humility. Here was someone who's deeply respected in our movement, but he chose just to sit at a roadside barber shop simply because he enjoyed being amongst the people. Connection over comfort. And if you see Shruti Prabhu's life, that's how he lived. He would go through so many hardships just to be able to connect with people deeply. Another beautiful quality of Srutidharma Prabhu was how he gave gifts. He never gave random gifts. He gave gifts that would bring someone closer to Krishna. And he always seemed to know exactly what someone needed. He had this incredible empathy. He could sense where someone was spiritually and then give them something that would help them take the next step forward. So I remember organizing Rajesh's 30th birthday. And I invited Srutidharma and Pranabandhu Prabhus. And so Srutidharma said, you know, we have to get Rajesh something special for all the service he does. I was thinking, what service? But anyway. And he said, no, I've got just a thing. And he gave Rajesh Radha Gokulananda's flute. And to this day, Rajesh really cherishes this gift. But to know what to get someone requires like real empathy to know. And Srutidharma had this in abundance. Okay, so one day at the manor, something quite unexpected was happening. So a group of devotees were all gathered around the temple room doors, and they were looking through the glass. So I thought maybe something's about to go down. So as I got closer, Sarvamangala Mataji was there, and then Srutidharma Prabhu came, and she said, "Srutidharma, look, that's Goldie Hawn." Now, for many of you are young, so those of you who don't know, Goldie Hawn was a very famous Hollywood actress from the 70s and 80s. Her daughter's Kate Hudson, who you guys might know better. Anyway, so Srutidharma Prabhu said, "Invite her to the temple president's office." And then he turned to me and he said, "Yuvi, you come with me." So we went upstairs. So then she arrived, and Shruti Prabhu greeted everyone very warmly and started to ask her about herself. So she mentioned that she was into yoga and pranayam and that she was planning a trip to India. So Shruti Prabhu said, "Well, let's do some pranayam then." So he started guiding everyone, doing some breathing exercises. Then after a few minutes he said, "You know, yoga and pranayam are very good for the body. But our real problem is this restless mind. And for that, we need mantra meditation." So he said, "Let's try it." So everyone kind of sat back, got comfortable, and he softly began chanting the Maha Mantra, a bit like a japa session. And then afterwards he asked her, "How do you feel?" And so she said she felt really calm and peaceful, and then he gave them some gifts and they left. So after they left, he turned to me and he said, "You know, somehow or another, we have to give them the holy name." And for me, this moment was a masterclass in preaching. He didn't immediately just start giving philosophy. He first listened. He understood exactly where she was in her spiritual life. And then he took her one step further and gave her the holy name. You know, often we think that we're giving Krishna consciousness, but are we really listening to people first and understanding where they are, and then to be able to present Krishna consciousness in a way that will really stay with them and help them go to the next step? Srutidharma was a master at this. Another beautiful thing was that he didn't care about status, famous or not famous, rich or poor. He treated everyone the same. You know, you'll see pictures of him with the Queen and Prime Ministers, where he would spend just as much time with my parents on a Sunday afternoon. And everyone who knew him felt that he gave them his full attention. Okay, this next story is where I learned a slightly harsher lesson. So the devotees in Wales were opening a cheesecake factory, and they invited Srutidharma Prabhu and Rameshwar Prabhu from the manor to visit. Srutidharma asked if I wanted to come along, as I'd spoken to him about restaurants and stuff. So we went, and then before visiting the factory, the devotees invited us for lunch. And when we arrived, they really rolled out the red carpet for Srutidharma Prabhu. They seated us nicely. And I thought, since I'm rolling with these guys, I may as well partake in the feast. And then Srutidharma quietly leaned over and said, "Yuvi, you should go and help them serve." So naturally I got up, started helping. You know, sometimes like when we're around senior devotees, we can become like passively puffed up by associating with them. We start thinking that we deserve the same respect and reverence that they receive just because we're with them. The real mood in Krishna consciousness is to be the servant of the servant. Never expect service, and always look for ways how we can serve others. Srutidharma embodied this principle throughout his life, always serving others and rarely ever taking service from anyone else. So later in his life, when Srutidharma Prabhu got ill with cancer, some of us had the opportunity to serve him in the evenings. And although these were really difficult times, for me they were some of the most impactful moments of my life. Because for the first time, I'd experienced what it meant to genuinely think about someone else's service and comfort. You know, my mind was constantly thinking, is he comfortable? Is he thirsty? Has he taken his medicine? And throughout those hours in the evening, I realized how I completely forgot about any of my own problems or worries or anything. All my personal worries had just disappeared. And I'm really grateful to Sri Radhika Mataji, Srutidharma Prabhu's wife, for allowing a few of us to serve in that way. So one day, Srutidharma Prabhu grabbed my arm and he said, you know, everyone thinks that my disease is the cancer, but the real disease is this material body. You know, even in that condition, when many of us would just be scared and tired and overwhelmed, he just remained so fixed in Srila Prabhupada's teachings. He was always so poetic in his words. And even in that condition, he remained just as clear and eloquent as when he was well. You know, the real test of our Krishna consciousness will come for all of us eventually. But because Srutidharma Prabhu lived his entire life practicing Krishna consciousness so purely, at the end, he was equally equiposed through all the difficulty that he was going through. After his diagnosis, you know, we decided to make this legacy video. So Nitai, Ram, Vishnu, they were asking Srutidharma Prabhu these questions. And they were questions just like, you know, about his early life, just giving us a snapshot of his life and his realizations. And it was really, really sweet. And we really wanted to capture his life story and his reflections. And at one point he said something quite simple. He said when he first came to Krishna consciousness, he heard a statement that Krishna is most pleased by those who look after the devotees. And you can see that his entire life embodied that one statement. And so often when we first come to Krishna consciousness, like we can hear a statement or an idea or a realization or something that we read, and it really stays with us forever. I remember Naveen Krishna told the first sabbatical group, which I think was Krishna Avatar and Vrindavan, that at the end of this life, you'll stand before Srila Prabhupada and you'll have to answer for what you've done. And this statement has always really stayed with me. So whenever I feel myself drifting, getting a bit lazy, I try and come back to this statement and it kind of just sets me back on track. So now we're going to do a little interactive exercise. So I want all of you to, or rather I want to ask all of you, what is the kind of mantra that you all live by? And by that what I mean is, what's the teaching or the statement or the realization that really guides your life, your spiritual life? And so I'll give you another example. So Naveen once shared that something Srutidharma told him, that be strict on yourself but lenient with others. Now if I think about Naveen, I really see that in him. So I'd like us just to take 5 or so minutes and just really think about, you know, 1 or maybe 2 of these like short kind of, you know, life mantras that guide our spiritual life. Maybe it's something a devotee has said with you and it's just said to you and it's just stayed with you. Yeah. Is that okay? Is it clear? It's going to force us to go a bit introspective, which I'm very bad at. But yeah, I think it's important sometimes to remember these things and so that we can come back to them when we feel like we're drifting. So yeah, sorry, asking you to go a little bit deep, but we'll give you 5 minutes or something to do that, and then we'll carry on. And they're going to ask some of you to share, so get ready. Okay, I hope that was enough time. Looks like everyone was getting into it, so that's good. Okay, so I'm going to ask quite a few of you to reflect. So I'm going to do this kind of randomly. I'm going to chuck this at you. It's soft, don't worry, don't fear. But if it touches you, then you have to speak. So don't try and like push it off to the next person, especially the boys. Okay, so I'm going to start with the boys. You can catch it. You don't have to take it on the head. Okay, what's your name? Sorry?
Harsh.
Harsh. Okay, Harsh. Can you share with us your mantra?
Yeah, I feel like always to service others, like, yeah, just give service to other people instead of like, yeah.
Okay, nice. Give service to other people. Okay, you want to chuck it to another one of the boys? Please watch the chandeliers, then you.
It's quite vibrant.
Gently, gently. Okay, Ramraj.
Well, Ram actually was sharing loads of rap songs with me, but I had this one liner that I heard when I was younger, and it's be careful where you spend your time because it's the one thing you can never get back.
Nice. Okay. How do you apply that in your Krishna consciousness?
I'm yet to do that. I think for me, that kind of related into like association a lot. So I kind of always protected that for myself.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. Okay, another one of the boys.
Does anyone want to volunteer?
Yeah, any volunteers?
Mine was always choose the vessel that takes you closer to Krishna. So Srutidharma Prabhu talks about a Persian boat. So focusing on the goal of life. So always choose the vision that takes you closer to Krishna.
Nice. Very nice. Okay, let's do one more boy.
Boy.
Yeah. Dylan.
Like, I think I remember once somebody asked Sheikh Maharaj, how can you get the mercy of Nityananda? And his response was, how can you escape? And so I think that changed like my mentality of, instead of asking how to get the mercy, get the holy name, how should we access it instead? And rather it's, it's more like an internal thing, and how can you make the most of the holy name rather than trying to seek everywhere and trying to, force it really. So, yeah.
Very nice. We'll do one more boy. He didn't even move. Okay, Gopi.
Something that I was thinking about recently was like this idea of the 5 people that you spend the most time with reflect the type of character you build, and how in our spiritual life that obviously relates to like sadhu sangha, and how that's the most important thing to bhakti. So if we don't, like sometimes when I'm going like adrift and I think about who and what am I spending my time with, and how can I try and improve that?
Nice, very nice. Right, Gopi, get back to me. Okay. I'm gonna roll it to the first girl because I don't want to throw it. So go on, Diana.
Mine's a bit of a simple one, but it's do your best and Krishna will take care of the rest.
Do your best and Krishna will take care of the rest. Nice. Okay, pass it to one of the girls.
Then I throw, so be careful. Mine was also very simple, that is something that's been prominent in my life, and it's have no expectation. Because we have no expectations, and you're more likely to stay neutral through ups and downs.
Nice, okay.
This is something that my dad would tell me when I was my teens, like early 20s. He would say, never give your heart away to anyone, only give it to Krishna. So it was something that I think, as a father, I guess, that's what's happening.
This is before marriage, guys. Before marriage. Okay, nice. That's really nice. Okay, next person.
Sorry. My mom always used to tell me, whenever like I'm getting agitated by someone, always like follow these few qualities, like being truthful, beneficial, pleasing to others, and not agitating. Yeah, something like that.
Okay, nice. Next person.
Mine is the Om Mapavitra prayers, simply because they give so much hope. Like the whole idea that it doesn't matter who you are, who you've been, where you've gone, what kind of ghastly life you've led, the beautiful face of the Lord and His eyes are enough to purify everything. And it just gives so much hope. That Krishna is the ultimate purifier, the ultimate kind benefactor. You're never lost. I think that's really beautiful. And I love that my Guru Maharaj always, it's his message of hope every time there's, well, not just him, but I just remember his message of hope every time there's initiation, every time there's anything, like, don't worry. It can all be cleansed and purified. Krishna's here once.
Very nice. Nice. One more, another. Oh. Sandy Brand, you better watch out. That's a strong overarm there, isn't it? Of all people, Shamili. The last time I do this. Because Shamili, when you come back to your senses, feel free to share with the group.
How within service we're not irreplaceable, so I think it's important to remind ourselves, so we remain humble.
Okay, very nice.
Please say that again. Sorry.
Within service we're not irreplaceable. So to remind ourselves.
Okay, very nice. Anyone else would like to share one? Okay. So yeah, anyway, I hope that was a useful little exercise, because it's important to know what your anchors in spiritual life are, because times are good but they don't last forever, and when it gets tough, something's going on in our lives, some difficulties there, these anchors help us to kind of get back to where we need to be to practice our Krishna consciousness even during the tough times. So yeah, it takes a bit of introspection, and if that was a difficult exercise, then it's a good indicator that maybe we should just be a bit more introspective and think about what is the thing that really anchors us in our spiritual lives. And particularly even in service, like there's some services which if you do those, then it really connects you to Krishna. So to know all of these little buttons we can push when times get tough is really helpful. So I'm just going to do one last story before I conclude and we see a video and a little presentation. So during that time I went to India, I was telling you guys, in Mayapur. So I was staying in a room with Gauri Prabhu, Pranavandhu and Srutidharma, and it was my first time to India, first time to Mayapur. And Srutidharma asked me, he said, have you been here before? I said, no, it's my first time. And he said, okay, tomorrow be ready at 3 a.m. So I was like, okay, fine. So anyway, I was ready. And then in the morning he said, okay, we're going to Mangalarti. So we went to Mangalarti, and you come round from the back of the altar to take darshan. And who hasn't been to Mayapur here? Okay, a few people. So in Mayapur, so in India, like where the deities are there, you can kind of see just at the bottom there. So all the sannyasis and like Prabhupada disciples, everyone, they're at the front, and then there's like a rope, and then there's everyone else. So so we came round, and then as soon as everyone there at the front, like the most senior devotees in our movement, as soon as they saw Srutidharma Prabhu, they all literally like parted, like Moses in the Red Sea. Literally, they just all parted, and they were all like, "Please come." So I was like really like embarrassed, and I was like, "Okay, well, I'll just go stand with everyone else." And then so I was like kind of walking off, and then Srutidharma grabbed me. He goes, "Where are you going?" And I was like, "Srutidharma Prabhu, you should go. I'll go to the back." And he said, "No." And then he literally dragged me, because he had to drag me. I was so embarrassed. So he dragged me to the front, and that was my first darshan of Panchatattva in Mayapur. And then in Mayapur, the next darshan you take is Nishingadev. So you have to kind of run round to where Nishingadev is and take darshan there. And it's like it's a bit of a jam. Everyone is running. So he literally like grabbed me by the hand and pulled me along all the way to the front to take darshan of Nishingadev. And so afterwards, I was just reflecting, like, I was just a kid of, some of the patrons. My parents were patrons. I was just a kid of the patrons. And like he just wanted my first experience in Mayapur to take darshan to just be such an incredible experience. And I will just never forget that experience. Because, like, it's like, literally I felt as though, the pure devotee was taking me to see Krishna. And when the pure devotee takes you to see Krishna, the experience is something else. And just his kindness. There's just no need for taking me through all of that, it's just, but yeah, just his kindness. He didn't care about any of the separation or the status or anything. He just thought, this is your first time taking darshan in Mayapur, and it should be an incredible experience. So yeah, I was very fortunate. Right. Okay. So we all know that death is coming, but our mind will convince us that it's far away. 20 years, 30 years, maybe 40 years for some of you. But what I saw with Srutidharma Prabhu taught me that if we can't be Krishna conscious now, there's absolutely no guarantee that you're suddenly going to become Krishna conscious at the time of death. And despite all his difficulties, Srutidharma just remained completely steady, even at the end. Like Krishna says in the Gita, a self-realized person is equipoised in happiness and distress. And for me, Srutidharma Prabhu was a living example of this verse. Even at the end, he never complained. He was always so grateful for everything. And he was more concerned about you than you were about him, even in that condition. And when I saw this, it just gave me complete faith that this process actually works. And that everything the scriptures say about the pure devotee is 100% real. Another realization during these times was, when you're around someone who's about to leave their body, you suddenly realize that most of the things that we spend so much time worrying about are completely irrelevant. And at the end of life, only one thing will matter: our Krishna consciousness. Okay. So now we'd just like to do a quick presentation on the 26 qualities of a devotee. Now as you watch this, please meditate on how Srutidharma Prabhu embodied all of these qualities, every single one. And if you didn't know him personally, then just think about how we can develop these qualities in our own lives. Vinny, can we play the music? Yeah, for those of you who knew Srutidharma Prabhu, it's 26 qualities, quite a lot of qualities. But I can I can literally picture, any one of those qualities. I can see how Srutidharma Prabhu not only had it, but exemplified it. And how rare that really is. And yeah, for those of you who didn't know him, he was an incredible personality. And yeah, we should strive in our lives to develop these qualities, not artificially, but through the practice and the process of Krishna consciousness, and through the association of devotees like Srutidharma Prabhu. Because when you see it exemplified in them, then actually all these qualities become real, and you can see actually in real life how these qualities manifest in a person who is Krishna conscious. Okay, all right, Vinny, kill the music. Okay. So in conclusion, we're incredibly fortunate to have the association of devotees, and especially here in London, especially within Pandavsena. So please don't take this association for granted. Make full use of this very quick human form of life. It's over in an instant. All glories to His Grace Srutidharma Prabhu, and I'd also like to show my gratitude to Sri Radhika Mataji and Nitai for sharing him with all of the community over all these years. We're all very fortunate. Thank you all very much, Hare Krishna, and I think Vinny, you're going to show the final video.
Someone said speaks in his book about chasing the rhinos, it's all possible. We have to get out of our own headspace and do amazing and big things. And I think that's really what the uniqueness of Krishna consciousness is. That you get a buzz out of doing something big, because that's what Prabhupada would want. He didn't like anything small. He was never a small man. He said, that was my problem, he said. He said, my Guru Maharaj always never asked me to do anything small. He said, that was my problem. I could never think small. So he was always thinking big and big and big, and I've always taken a page out of that. When we were with all the ambassadors and everyone else, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, what would Prabhupada do? I said, he'd jump the line and, go and meet everyone and get on with it, So I realized Prabhupada always thought big. And we have to think big. Otherwise we'll always be thinking small. I think you have to think small and big, but see where it lies. And I think we've got some amazing things going on in the UK, and especially in the Nandi. We've got a fantastic team here, I believe, of young people that want to do amazing things for Krishna. Whether it's Om Nom, whether it's, Pandavasena, whether they want to revolutionize something else, mentorship or something else. We've got amazing people that want to do amazing things for Krishna. And Krishna will reciprocate if we act in that way. But it always needs a bit of sacrifice. I think people forget nowadays, no pain, no gain. And people want an easy life, and I don't think there's an easy life. Especially if you want to do some amazing things for Krishna. You're going to have to push the boundaries, always. Otherwise the boundaries are going to push you into the modes of material nature. So I think there's only two ways about it. Either the modes are pushing you down, really down, or you're pushing them. You're pushing that barrier to do something amazing. So let's do that for Prabhupada. Let's push those boundaries, because I think, as I always say, let's give one life to Prabhupada. And really, all of you, half your life is gone anyways. It's not that much to care. You're going to give a half a life. So I think that's really the key. Giving that one life to Prabhupada. Let's do that.
Yeah, nice video. Okay, where's Driva now? Is he here? Oh, Driva. We got time or 5 minutes? So I don't know if anyone who knew Srutidharma Prabhu would like to share something, a story. Feel free, we've got 5 minutes. Or if there's any comments or questions or anything, we can do that. But, oh, yep, sorry now.
When you first met Shruti Prabhu,
did you feel instantly what a magnanimous soul he is? Or was there something that you remember that was a turning point where you thought, you saw in the unfiltered way how he isn't actually seen?
Can you repeat the question?
Me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I think Swarna Radhika is asking if when I first met Srutidharma Prabhu, did I instantly connect with him and see him in this light, or did some series of things happen?
Was there some turning point or a moment you remember or something? Like, were you young and thinking?
Yeah, I was young. But I was thinking he was quite cool. In fact, the first time I actually saw Srutidharma Prabhu, I realized this afterwards, when I was at Haberdashers for a very short period of time. When I was at Haberdashers, they used to have a Hindu assembly on Thursdays. And Srutidharma Prabhu actually came to one of them. And he was leading a chanting session. And basically no one was chanting. So I was a bit of a bully back then. So I was forcing everyone. I said, "You lot better start chanting. Don't leave him hanging." And so, that was my first actually time and then afterwards I realized that was Srutidharma Prabhu. But that was my even at that time, even when he spoke, I thought, this guy's so cool. Srutidharma Prabhu just had that. Because he, like I was saying before, like he genuinely cared for people. I find you can't fool people. Like, within 10 seconds of meeting someone, whether they're sincere, genuine, egotistical, humble, like just instantly. And because Srutidharma Prabhu actually had all of these qualities, you just instantly knew that there's something special about this person. And I think that's the case with a lot of pure devotees when you meet them. You know that there's something extraordinary about these people. And so from the first moment I met him, and then, Srutidharma Prabhu had this kind of thing where, because he was so personable, you would sometimes forget who you're talking to. Like you just treat him like, for me, when I went to Mayapur and I saw how like literally everyone parted way for him. Like it was just a sea of saffron, but they just asked him to come there. So he was the only person in white there, standing at the front. And that's when I realized like how senior he is. But when he was with us, it's like I used to hang with like Bharti, Visha, Nima. So they used to call him Shruti Kaka. And you just felt like this is just someone from my family who cares for me. Sorry, I hope that answers the question. Anyone else like to share anything? Radha Damodar? Share something? He has great stories.
Well, one of my favourite memories was when me and Mahini were getting married. And obviously her father had next to no money to pay for the wedding. And he was really stressed out about it. And so Srila Prabhu called for come to the office and we'll figure it out. And then in that meeting, he essentially just said, "Look, I'll cover all the costs for the wedding. Don't worry about it. It's Mahini's my daughter as well. Just relax." And then he turned to Mahini and he said, "But I got to think about what wedding gift to give you as well, And so she was like, "No, you can't. Just give me a blessing. Give me a blessing." And then he said, "I remember when you were to Mahini that when you were young, you used to love ice cream. Is that still the case?" And that is very much still the case. And then he got the diagnosis and everything. But he'd arranged from that point, which was maybe like a year before, to have Baskin Robbins at the wedding. And we didn't know that at all. So we went after the wedding, went to get our photos done, and then we're walking back to where everybody's having lunch. And everybody's carrying these Baskin Robbins tubs around. We were like, "What? How did this happen?" And then we realized he did it. It was like he followed through. He didn't forget. There's so many, but that was what Tamil president does that? Who does that? Especially at that time where so much was going on with his health and everything, he still remembered to. I promised Mahini, and it was 3 flavors. It wasn't like a.
Nice.
It's very personal.
Yeah. Very nice. No.
I have a question.
Okay.
This troubles me many times when I see something like this. Shruti Prabhu was still young, so impactful, so loud. How do we reconcile why Krishna took him away from us? And we have to continue without him.
Yeah.
Can you repeat it?
Oh yeah. I'm not a pro. I'm not used to this. So the question is, Srutidharma Prabhu was obviously young, relatively, and very dear to all of us. But even then, Krishna took him home. And so, how do we reconcile someone so dear and so young being taken back so quickly? Problem is, if we're trying to reconcile it with our limited understanding, mind, senses, you can't. But we have to just have the faith that actually Krishna is the ultimate reconciler. With Krishna, everything is reconciled, and in the greatest way for everyone. So yeah, it's difficult, and the wound it leaves when they leave is just I mean, anyone that you have love and affection for, when they leave, it's like a part of you goes. So yeah, who knows what Krishna's plan is? Krishna's plan is magnificent, more magnificent than we can ever understand. So we have to have the faith that Srutidharma is where Srutidharma needs to be. We are where we need to be. And one thing I know is that, particularly for us here, because this was essentially Srutidharma Prabhu's community, this was his service, that whatever we have been left with has always got his blessings. And so for whatever we do have, we should be very grateful. Very grateful. It's easy to forget, but with the pure devotee, like, just because they're not here doesn't mean that their blessings don't carry. They still carry. So we still have all of that, and we have access to all of that. We just have to tap in. Hope that's okay. One last reflection. I think there may be time, yeah. Nilmani? Well, Vishnu, Ram, Nitai's not here, right? Nitai's not here. Is he? No. So one voice. Okay, Nilmani.
When he was staying at our house and was having the chemotherapy and radiotherapy for the cancer, at one point he collapsed in the bathroom and downstairs. He was okay, but I had to keep him awake until the ambulance came. So I was just talking to him, and difficult to know what to talk about, because I didn't really used to chit chat with the Dharma for a minute. It's got to be something important, and I don't waste his time, So I started asking him about instructions from the spiritual master. I thought that was not too chit-chatty, profound. And he said, my Guru Maharaj told me to make this my last time.
Wow.
So it was struggling. And obviously he was in a really difficult situation, physically collapsed on the floor, and yet he was able to very clearly, with a lot of determination, say that. And he didn't take the instruction of the spiritual master like this, but it was very easy to get from this consciousness. He was like the Bruce Lee of Casey, let's put it that way. They say you should better to bleed in peace than die in battle. That was Srutidharma Prabhu's motto. His training was, I think Keshav Maharaj talks about it, wake up, show up, there's third one, so like early morning chanting, intense chanting, and then I remember, because I was always later, I'm not an early morning person, that's my kids, I space out a lot. I'd often be in Prabhupada's room chanting or having a song around 10 a.m, much later than him. And he comes back into Prabhupada's rooms to chant more round. So he's been at Mangalarti. In those days I was going to some of the morning program, not as good as Krishna Prabhu, but I was trying to go. But I might have spaced out in the middle, and then I'm back chanting more rounds at 10 a.m. And he's chanting with so much absorption. And his chanting, I'll never forget, he would always emphasize the first heading. I mean, maybe later it would become quieter, but you know, even if I had a sangha running, I could hear his chanting through the doorway. Yeah, really, really amazing.
Thank you. Really nice. Yeah, he had a great sense of humour, and yeah, I really miss it. I really miss it. But yeah, thank you everyone. All glories to His Grace Srutidharma Prabhu. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Thank you.
It's all possible. I think Shyam Sundar said, as he speaks in his book about chasing the rhinos, you know, it's all possible. We have to get out of our own headspace and do amazing and big things. And I think that's really what the uniqueness of Krishna consciousness is, that you get a buzz out of doing something big, because that's what Prabhupada would want. He didn't like anything small. He was never a small man. He said, that was my problem, he said. He said, my Guru Maharaj always never asked me to do anything small. He said, that was my problem. I could never think small. So he was always thinking big and big and big, and I've always taken a page out of that. You know, when we were with all the ambassadors and everyone else, and I was sitting there, I was thinking, what would Prabhupada do? I said, he'd jump the line and, you know, go and meet everyone and get on with it, you know. So I realized Prabhupada always thought big, and we have to think big. Otherwise, we'll always be thinking small. I think you have to think small and big, but see where it lies. And I think we've got some amazing things going on in the UK, especially at the Manor. We've got a fantastic team here, I believe, of young people that want to do amazing things for Krishna. Whether it's Om Nom, or whether it's, you know, the Pandavasena, whether they want to revolutionize something else, mentorship or something else. I believe we've got amazing people that want to do amazing things for Krishna. And Krishna will reciprocate if we act in that way. But it always needs a bit of sacrifice. I think people forget nowadays, no pain, no gain. And people want an easy life, and I don't think there's an easy life. Especially if you want to do some amazing things for Krishna. You're going to have to push the boundaries, always. Otherwise the boundaries are going to push you into the modes of material nature. So I think there's only two ways about it. Either the modes are pushing you down, 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 really down, or you're pushing them. You're pushing that barrier to do something amazing. So let's do that for Prabhupada. Let's push those boundaries, because I think, as I always say, let's give one life to Prabhupada. And really, for all of you, half your life is gone anyway, so there's not that much to give. You're only going to give half a life. So I think that's really the key, giving that one life to Prabhupada. Let's do that. Hare Krishna.